Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons, back with some more quick guitar tricks for you. These really handy 2-note per string minor 7 arpeggios. In this quick guitar tricks, we're looking at how to play those arpeggios on just 2 strings. Very similar to how you can play major 7th arpeggios on 2 strings, more on that with a little I up there. The tabs are on my patreon.com/jbfmusic, and feel free to skip ahead to whatever parts are most relevant to yourself using the chapters below. If you appreciate this anti-waffle system or just enjoy the stuff I'm putting out, please consider letting the algorithm know by leaving a like and doing all the subscribe and enable notifications things. I'm sure you know the drill by now, but it really does help the channel out an awful lot. So, by the end of this you should have 4 new shapes and some ideas of how you might want to try using them. All these examples are in the E minor, links to appropriate jam tracks with a little I up there. As a quick side note, the initial shape will work over the E to A to D, D to G and B to E strings. We'll need to adjust the shape a little bit when we're going between the G to the B strings, bumping up the latter string by a semitone, but we'll tackle that in due course. Okay, to get the theory out of the way just so we're all on the same page, a minor 7 chord has a root, flat 3rd, 5th, and flat 7th. You can find out more about intervals with the I card up there if that's not making any sense to you, but for E minor, the key I'm going to be basing this in, the chord consists of E, G, B, D. So basically we want to play these notes over 2 strings and in a consecutive order. To get this more straightforward, I'm just going to move up the A and the E strings so you can see how these shapes interlock. First up, this shape. We've got E, G, B, D. What is often called root position. The root note, E, being the starting point of the arpeggio. Another way which I tend to think is more useful is to look at the intervals. It's a fancy pants way of saying the space between the notes. So we have a minor 3rd here, a major 3rd between these notes, and another minor 3rd here. Another way of looking at this is with the 5th intervals here, and also here. Where I find this most useful is for part writing, improvisation and jamming. Say you're playing over like an E minor chord or E minor 7 chord, and you need to build a groove which complements it. You could use these notes and do something like this. Next we've got shape 2, G, B, D, E. So the correct notes, but starting on the 2nd note of the chord, what you would call first inversion. Aptly named because it's the first inversion of the arpeggio. Again, we could look at the intervals, not as neat as the previous shape. From G we've got a 3rd, a 5th, and a 6th. From the B we've got a flat 3rd, a 4th, and just a 2nd from the D really. So this one sort of ties into shape 4, but we'll touch on that in a minute. Shape 3, B, D, E, G. You'd call this the 2nd inversion, being the 2nd inversion of the arpeggio. This is a symmetrical shape, and you'll probably recognise it from the 4th position of the minor pentatonic. The obvious intervals here are the 4ths and the flat 3rds. There's also a flat 6 and a 2nd. A quick idea of why I like this sort of interval mapping, you could decide to ascend in either 4ths or 5ths across the strings depending on what's available. So if we combine the 3 shapes we looked at, we could have something like cool. And shape 4. So we've got a D, E, G, and a B. You'll notice the intervals aren't as neat as shape 1 or shape 3, but if you look at shape 2, essentially it's been flipped round. If we take shape 4, we took that off the fretboard and rotated it 180 degrees. This is where animation skills would come in handy, I suppose. We get this shape here. Hopefully you can just sort of see that for yourself. If you imagine that, flipping it round, putting it here. If you like the idea of blazing through these sorts of 2-note per string shapes, you might want to check out that Matthias Asato 2-note per string pentatonics run video with the iCard up there. Okay, a final stretch, a good going if you're still here, and a shout out to Lick Squad Elite. You guys rock. Things get a wee bit hairy when playing between the G and the B strings, as I mentioned at the start, so here's some shapes for those. Shape 1, which was this, becomes... You'll find you might play these in different ways because of them being a bit more of a stretch. On that note, some wider 3-note per string pentatonic ideas, check out the tutorial with a little eye up there. For shape 2, we start on the G. So we just need to find a G in the G string. The 12th fret would be the easiest one to go for. So we got that one there, and you play this shape here. If, unlike me, you really like using your little finger, I bet there are a good whack of cool ideas to be had here, you know, just hammering on and pulling off. Shape 3. Starting on a B. So let's pick a B on the G string, this one. We get this. Probably the most finger-friendly variation on the shape we've got here, and shape 4, which started on the D. So let's find a D on the G string, and we'll just go from there. Let's go for this one here. And remember, you can use all sorts of things, slides, legato, bends, whatever. Even just running up the shape can sound quite cool. And just a reminder, you can do this anywhere. So if you moved to the E here, for example, we could use the first shape. You know, if we move to the E here. While I've just shown you them on the low 2 strings and between the G and the B, because the tuning changes there, you can move them anywhere. So let's, as a final example, find an E on the B string, which would be here. Okay, and the licks from the intro. As a side note, this is the sort of lick where I'd often use an out note from a semitone below, a trick I stole from Marty Friedman, more on that with a little eye up there. So on this last note, instead of hammering on the 9th, I go for the 8th fret, but make sure to bend it a semitone to pitch, and add in some vibrato. So in context, you'd get... and a wee bit slower. If you want more 2-note per string arpeggios, check out that video. This has been Quick Guitar Tricks, that's the playlist there. But yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel, leave me a comment, check out the tabs on my Patreon, and enable all notifications by ringing that little bell on the side if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.
Bye.